Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Today's episode, we're covering a variety of different headlines with you, from updates on Hunter Biden to China, Russia, Ukraine, illegal immigration, Ford losing almost $4.5 billion on electric vehicles, and more witnesses are coming forward after the UAP hearings. We got a jam-packed episode for today. Before we jump into any of that, support a true American patriot by hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short, sweet comment down below. The question for all of you is, do you think the Russia-Ukraine conflict is going to cause World War III? Let us know in the comment section below. And also head over to our website. Yes, we do have a website, baldbrad.com, with a bunch of goodies for you, including our book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Find out why they're doing it. Find out how they're doing it by reading our book, Trojan Horse. Get yourself a copy today at baldbrad.com. And we also have merchandise there, t-shirts, hoodies, Bald Brad Show mugs, their logo on the front, the American flag on the back. Folks, you're never going to feel more patriotic than reading our book, wearing our merch, and drinking out of our mug, let me tell you. And lastly, most importantly, our community is awesome. We probably have maybe one of the smallest communities on YouTube, but we have the best community on YouTube, full of patriots, conservatives, Republicans, people that love this country and share the same values as you. They're in the live chat. They're in the comment section. They are regulars. They are with us each and every episode. You are here each and every episode as well. Become American Patriot today by hitting that join tab. We would love to finally have you become, again, a member today. Well, folks, we got a lot of articles, a lot of different headlines to cover. And let me take a swig real quick of my coffee, wet my whistle a little bit because my throat is dry. It's hot. It's steamy in here. And we'll cover stuff. So our lead story of the day is kind of a banger here. Biden's Department of Justice is pushing for Hunter Biden's former business partner to go to prison days before his bombshell testimony, and Congress coming out saying, hey, look, this is a clear indication of obstruction of justice, and he just might be right. Let's break this down together. So just days before Hunter Biden's former business partner is set to testify before the House Oversight Committee, President Joe Biden's Department of Justice is pushing for Devon Archer to go to prison. This is huge, because Devon Archer, I would say, is more than just a business partner. I mean, this is a friend of the family. He is not just a business partner of Burisma Holdings with Hunter Biden, but he's a business partner of other companies as well with Hunter Biden. I mean, this is a guy that's been to dinners with the Bidens. He's been golfing with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. He's been in the White House when Biden was vice president. I mean, this is a guy that's fully enveloped into the Biden family and is a key witness to the Biden family's corruption. I mean, this guy's talked about the emails that were sent, which contradicts Joe Biden's statement of like, I don't know anything. So this is wild what's going on here right now. Devon Archer worked closely with Hunter Biden for years, stating in 2009 the two co-founded the investment firm Rosemont Fonseca alongside John Kerry's stepson Christopher Hines. Remember, Rosemont was allegedly being funneled money from Burisma Holdings, which was that natural gas company that was being looked at by Shokin that was fired because of Joe Biden. And it just gets worse here. In 2013, Archer and Biden partnered with Chinese private equity investor Jonathan Lee to establish a China-backed investment fund called BHR Partners. The investment firm is supported by some of China's largest financial institutions, including the Bank of China. Remember, a lot of speculations coming out that money's funneling from China in the range of $3 to $40 million into the pockets of the Bidens. Not just Hunter Biden, not just Joe Biden, but the Biden family. I mean, there's like 9 or 12 of them that we know about right now, and it's only getting worse the more information is coming out of this whole thing. There was also, if you recall, when Joe Biden was siphoning from our oil reserves, when that whole fiasco was going on, that there was a story of how he was selling our oil reserve to a province in China of which Hunter Biden has business dealings in. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here and uncover, of which nobody wants to look under the hood. And when they do, guess what happens to them? They get fired. That's exactly what happened to Shokin. Joe Biden was on tape saying, look, you're not going to get the $1 billion loan unless you fire Shokin. And the president comes out and says, well, Shokin's done nothing wrong, which was leaked audio that we covered here on the show, and he was fired anyways. Not a big deal, though, huh? Well, Reuters reported this in 2019. I think it's important to cover. BHR's investments span a range of industries and companies, including one of China's main nuclear energy firms, China General Nuclear Power Corporation, and AI startup Megiv Technology Limited, also known as Face++. In 2015, BHR joined forces with AVIC Auto a unit of Aviation Industry Corporation of China, the country's dominant aerospace and defense contractor, to buy Hennings Automotive, a U.S. auto parts company. So again, one of the things that Comer and others have said through these hearings is that there's a spider web of money being funneled from one company to another company that would take decades to unravel, but it's all there. You just have to unravel it. Furthermore, in 2014, Archer and Biden joined the board of Ukrainian natural gas firm Burisma Holdings, which we've talked about at length here on the Brad Show. Records also show that Archer visited the White House in 2009 for a holiday reception, then in 2011 for a group tour, and a meeting with then Vice President Joe Biden in the West Wing on April 16th, 2014, just days before, get this, just days before Hunter and Archer joined the Burisma board. Now remember, Archer joined the board before Hunter did, but this kind of, again, contradicts Joe Biden's story of, well, I know nothing and have never talked to Hunter Biden about his business dealings, which none of us believe. I mean, Joe Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre themselves don't even believe it. And Karine Jean-Pierre is at the point where she's not answering any questions. And there was kind of a bombshell report that came out from Real Clear Politics last week by White House correspondent Philip Wegman, where he said, why has the language regarding Joe Biden and his business dealings with his son changed? And she didn't know what to say to that. So she's sticking to the story. Joe Biden's sticking to the story that he knows nothing about it. There's also an ongoing kind of theory we have here on the Bald Brad channel where once this all comes out, and I do think it will come out, is that Joe Biden's going to play the card that he just doesn't know anything, that he's just not all there in the head. And the sad thing is, a lot of us would believe it the way that he's been portrayed, not just in the media, but also his gaffes that we've covered here on the Bald Brad Show, from him fighting with the teleprompter, fumbling through his words, falling asleep during interviews. I mean, you name it, it's happened. And Joe Biden's here probably going to utilize that in his defense. Furthermore, in 2014, Archer played golf with Joe Biden and his son in the Hamptons. But remember, Joe Biden, who's Archer? I don't know who Archer is. Sure, man, sure. However, Archer was convicted of defrauding a Native American tribe in 2018, where Archer is still appealing the conviction. But here, check this out. Excuse me, just one moment. Like I said, my throat's really dry. Archer's first-year prison sentence was upheld by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. But in March of 2019, Arch contacted Hunter Biden as to why his father wasn't assisting him with the charges. That's huge. According to text messages found on Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop published by the Washington Examiner, remember, this is the same laptop that wasn't real. The same laptop that was just Russian disinformation that the FBI was censoring anybody and everybody that was talking about this on social media. The same FBI that says the 1023 form doesn't exist, even though it does. The same FBI that has been lying to us and covering a lot of this stuff up. The reason why I think this is crazy is because of the plea deal that Hunter Biden was getting. And it makes you wonder if Joe Biden was assisting in any way, shape, or form with that appeal itself and dropping those charges, of which anybody else in America would have been charged for. So the fact that there's text messages that are leaked out about this whole thing is wild, that he's having the Bidens assist him in something before all this came out. And now you know the problem that Archer's probably pissed about because of the fact that Hunter Biden, Joe Biden didn't help him. So now maybe a little bit of revenge might be taking place here of him whistleblowing on this family. Archer allegedly asked Hunter, quote, why did your dad's administration appointees arrest me and try to put me in jail? Just curious, some of our partners asking out here. But why would they try to ruin my family and destroy my kids, and no one from your family's side stepped in and at least tried to help me? I don't get it. And I'm depressed. Bunch of these Asian partners getting in my head asking me the same, so just curious what I should answer. Well, Biden reportedly responded to this saying, every president's family is held to a higher standard and a target. It's the price of being the most powerful group of people in the world. It's why our democracy remains viable. It's unfair at times, but in the end, the system of justice usually works, and like you, we are redeemed and the truth prevails. The unfairness to us allows for the greater good. Hunter reportedly and purportedly told his longtime friend, quote, and we aren't a banana republic, buddy. The powerful are targets in this country. The more powerful they become, the truth prevails if you have the stamina and guts and enough love to stay the course. I mean, this is insane text messages going back and forth, you guys. You gotta love the fact that this isn't a banana republic. Folks, they're going after Joe Biden's number one opponent. What do you mean it's not a banana republic? Of course it is. I mean, he just got come out and got like what more allegations against him and more people looking under the hood on Donald Trump. I mean, how many times, how many investigations are there that are going to happen to this guy since he's gone down the escalator? Looking at Joe Biden, that's been in office his entire life, and the amount of stuff that we have, I mean, that is public is just wild. And there's nothing going on other than Republicans like Comer and others looking at, thank God. Quote, every great family is prosecuted in the U.S. You are part of a great family, not a sideshow, not deserted by them, even in your darkest moments. Biden allegedly told Archer via text message, that's the way Bidens are different, and you are a Biden. It's the price of power. I think he's going to come out, you guys, and I think he's going to whistleblow all over this Biden family. But the fact that they're trying to go after him and put him in prison before all this, I think is a good indication of obstruction of justice. And I wouldn't put it behind Comer to kind of push forward with this whole idea of obstruction of justice. We do have a clip here of him on Fox News talking about this whole thing. Let's go and roll it.
Ask you about your investigation, but first let me get to this breaking news. I have in my hand a letter from the Department of Justice that was sent to the Southern District of New York on Saturday. By the way, Devon Archer is testifying on Monday. Do you usually see the DOJ send letters like this out on a Saturday?
Never. This is the first time I've ever heard of the Department of Justice doing anything on a Saturday.
So what is this letter? Can you walk us through it? The government is apprising the court of the status of Devon Archer's appeal of his judgment of conviction, and they request that the court set a surrender date for the defendant to report to a facility. Please walk us through what this letter says.
Yeah, the letter from the Department of Justice is trying to nudge the judge to go ahead and sentence Devon Archer for something unrelated to what we're going to be talking to him about tomorrow. It's odd that it was issued on a Saturday, and it's odd that it's right before he's scheduled to come in to have an opportunity to speak in front of the House Oversight Committee and tell the American people the truth about what really went on with Burisma. So, I don't know if this is a coincidence, Maria, or if this is another example of the weaponization of the Department of Justice, but I can tell you this. The lengths to which the Biden legal team has gone to try to intimidate our witnesses, to coordinate with the Department of Justice, and to certainly coordinate with the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee to encourage people not to cooperate with our investigation, to encourage banks not to turn over bank records, to encourage Treasury not to let us have access to those suspicious activity reports. It's very troubling, and I believe that this is another violation of the law. This is obstruction of justice, but nevertheless, we're going to continue.
You know what's interesting? And kind of something I was thinking about as we were watching that. It's just the amount of sheer evidence that we have about the Bidens itself. Way more public information than anything from Donald Trump. I mean, the left were so keen on going after Donald Trump on fabricated stories. And that's not just me utilizing that word loosely. I mean, it has come out that the whole Russia collusion, the Russian witch hunt, was an actually fabricated story that some dude just made up, literally one guy, and told George Papadopoulos. And George Papadopoulos was looking into it and was even labeling it as a rumor. It was literally made up. I mean, the FBI was paying the guy off. And the left, if you recall, were just running with it for literally years. Do you guys remember the P tape? Guys, that was literally fabricated. It was made up. And the left were all about it. I mean, they didn't even have any evidence. And they're willing to go after Trump for years. But at the same time, what's odd is we have a mountain of public evidence against Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the Biden family, and nothing. Even if you were to still look on Trump's side with the classified documents, yes, we know about that. But here's the thing. Who else had classified documents? Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Mike Pence, and nothing. I mean, this is crazy, man. I just can't understand that mindset of like, well, we're going to go after Trump for all these things, and you're somebody on the left, but you don't take that same linear logic and just attach it to Joe Biden with all the public information you have about the two guys. I mean, their own business partners have come out and said, look, yeah, Joe Biden's the chief. He's the big guy that's labeled in the emails. I know that because I utilize that term. I'm with the Biden family. I've historically been with them for over a decade plus. I've been to the White House with them. I've been to family dinners with them. I got text messages with them. Hunter Biden himself said I'm part of the Bidens. I've been to the White House. I mean, the amount, again, of public evidence we have on this whole ordeal is head spinning, and the left just can't get behind it and say, look, yeah, we do think this should be investigated. We do think that there should not be an obstruction of justice from the DOJ and others, but they're so for it, and they're only for it until it's on their side. Wait till a Republican gets in office and starts wielding this type of sword against them. They ain't going to like it, and they don't understand that. They can't think that far ahead where this is going to be used against them. And Republicans are so pissed after dealing with this for years and years since Trump has been down the escalator that they're going to be okay with all these doors just going and unfolding, where you're going to have investigations galore for till the end of time. I mean, everybody's just going to start investigating everybody, and you're just going to have a bleep storm. So you have that going on. We'll see. I'm curious. Do you think it's obstruction of justice? Do you think Comer's right there? A little bit of odd that they're coming out with this whole thing on a Saturday, which they never really do, and pushing after Devon Archer on this whole thing. And we'll see how that affects him testifying. It seems like they're trying to shake his pants a little bit, for a little extra coin, if you know what I'm saying. Well, moving into our next story of the day, we got more drama here from Russia and Ukraine. I got clips here where Russia was hit. Russia was hit again inside its borders. And Zelensky's warning that war is returning to Russia after Moscow drone attack. Ukrainian premier says it's inevitable conflict will spread as key Putin ally issues nuclear retaliation threat. Guys, this is getting wild. And this is why I said, hey, in the comment section, do you think this is going to lead to World War III? The fact that Ukraine is now pushing inside Russia, which I think they have a right to do, by the way. I mean, remember, Russia invaded Ukraine with like 125,000 soldiers. And then you have John Kirby coming out on the White House podium in conjunction with Karine Jean-Pierre during the White House press briefing saying, yeah, we don't think Russia should, or rather Ukraine should shoot Russia in its own borders. I understand the PR of it and kind of the strategic puzzle pieces the United States are trying to do so they don't create a World War III. But at the same time, it's a little bit silly to push that kind of narrative when anybody in their right mind, if they were to attack the United States, which has happened, that you're damn right, we're going to go attack them on their home territory. You don't have to look any further than the Japanese in World War II with Pearl Harbor. I mean, the Japanese didn't just attack Pearl Harbor. They actually attacked us on our homeland. You got to look that up in history. It's not really talked about a lot, but it did happen. Not to mention 9/11 and other times. So President Zelensky has warned that war is returning to Russia after a drone attack on the Russian capital, Moscow. Earlier today, Zelensky took to social media, and there's a video clip of it, but it's about 5 minutes, and he's talking in his own language, so I'm not going to show it. But he took to social media in this video and addressed to assert that Ukraine is getting stronger and that the war is gradually returning to Russia territory, to its symbolic centers and military bases, adding that this is an inevitable, natural, and fair process. I don't disagree with him on that, but we do have the video here of the bomb strike itself. So I want to go ahead and roll that. So for those in audio, there's a city here, actually pretty beautiful buildings, and they're about to get hit.
Прямо около нас сейчас летел беспилотник в соседнее здание. Просто в соседнее.
So this is car footage. That's a big boom, folks. A big boom. Now, I'm curious on what you guys think about all this, because there's kind of two angles of looking at it. Is that there's been time where Russia was attacked in its own borders, and Ukrainians and Zelensky didn't take responsibility for it. And there was a lot of talk that those inside Russia that are kind of going against its own country were the ones that attacked it. There's also the side of Ukraine, like we just saw, hitting it with drones and taking responsibility for the attack. But my indication is thinking that that's not necessarily going to help the Ukrainians, because once the Russian people see that they're being attacked, by the Ukrainians, they might start supporting their own country in this conflict and then kind of exacerbating it. And now you got a lot of people rallying behind Putin for this war, because we know on the inside right now, there's Russians there that aren't in agreement with what their own country's doing to the Ukrainians. So I'm curious on what you guys think about that. Again, the main question here is, do you think that this is going to cause a World War III? Because now that Putin's being attacked in his own country, and it seems like Zelensky's going to keep pushing this whole thing, that it might exacerbate the problem to a level which we didn't expect. So Russian authorities have placed the responsibility of the attack squarely at the feet of the Ukrainian forces. And while the latest response from the Ukrainian premier was not an outright admission, the address showed a step up steeliness from his usual approach. I'm sure John Kirby this week is going to be on the podium, and this is going to be a main topic that they're going to cover in the White House press briefing. I'll be sure to watch that briefing, and if there's anything said that I think is necessary or something that is of weight that we should cover here on the show, I'll make sure I bring that to you. But you know how those press briefings go. They don't answer any questions. It's always some cockamamie response or, oh, we don't agree with it. I could already predict John Kirby's response just from what I've seen in the last 2 years of watching every press briefing. The same thing's going to be reiterated. Well, we don't know if it's Ukraine. We don't really have that much information. We're talking to our allies. We're trying to gather more intel on what actually took place. We don't think the Ukrainians should be striking Russia in its borders. We think that all the conflict should stay restricted within Ukraine. Vladimir Putin can end this conflict at any second if he just pulled out and all these other things. That's going to be his response. But again, I'm curious on what you think about all this in the comment section below. It does support the channel greatly because YouTube wants to see you interacting with the show by hitting that like button, but also leaving a comment down below so that our videos can be actually pushed out to other viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So we'd love your help and support with all that. Moving into China here, there's a ticking time bomb, I guess, where China has infected American infrastructure with malware, disrupt the U.S. military, and the U.S. military is conflicted. They actually don't know what to do here, and this is wild. So U.S. officials are aggressively searching for malware that they say hackers from China have implanted into American infrastructure to disrupt U.S. military operations in the event that communist nation launches an attack on Taiwan. I firmly do believe that China is going to attack Taiwan at some point. There's too much going on. There's too many resources being spent on the planning of it that's been leaked, to the military drills that are taking place, to the developments in the South China Sea. I mean, there's too much that has happened over the course of a decade plus to where that they weren't going to do it. So I think they are. I think it's a matter of time. I think it's foolish that the Americans, meaning us, haven't really, in my opinion, taken it as serious as it should be. Officials said that the malicious computer code, which penetrated U.S. systems well over a year ago, but was only detected by Microsoft in May, that was a big story, was especially troubling because its purpose was not traditional spying, i.e. information gathering. Microsoft and U.S. government both said the malware came from China. The malware was hidden deep inside the networks controlling power grids, communication systems, and water supplies that fed military bases in the United States and around the world. This was reported by the New York Times, by the way. It infected systems that impact not only the U.S. military, but also U.S. citizens and the economy. There's been rumors for a long time that one of the main problems with the Chinese building these microchips, and even the Taiwanese and other nations, and us putting them inside our computers, is the fact that you're just a natural consumer. You don't know what might be on your desktop. You don't know what kind of systems, meaning the actual chips themselves, the Chinese have implanted within there that might steal your information or bug you or whatever it may be. I mean, they are not our friend, you guys. We have to understand that. I know some of you do, but some of us still think that China might not be like that much of an enemy to us. Russia and China are our number one enemies, you guys. And at some point, they're going to step over the boundaries. This is like a game of chess. This is like a Game of Thrones type scenario here, with China going after Taiwan, Russia clearly going after the Ukrainians. You got Iran stepping up their game here to the point where we're moving military personnel near Iran to help basically protect our ships and our ally ships. The Iranians are still utilizing their half their military that we basically destroyed. So when Iran was doing this before, kind of going after our ships and our ally ships, we basically destroyed half their military, half their navy. Well, the half that we didn't destroy is what they're utilizing to go after other ships. There's a lot of moving puzzle pieces here, and we're kind of spread thin at the moment. And if you know anything about our recruitment numbers, they ain't looking good. We're in some serious trouble right now, folks, and we got to get our head on straight because stuff like this is taking place, and it's only going to get worse. Officials said that while the effort to destroy the malware has been underway for months, they still don't know how widespread it is. Officials say there are basically two possible goals when China infected the utility infrastructure that serve both civilian populations and the nearby military bases. The malware has not been detected in classified systems as of yet. One motivation could be to delay a U.S. response to an invasion of Taiwan, noting that a slow response time of even a couple of days due to logistical issues could be the difference between China winning or losing. One of the main reasons as to why the United States was able to wipe out the third largest military in the world, Iraq, during the Iraq War, or should I say the Gulf War, was by taking out their communication systems. And that's why we wiped them off the grid in literally like a week and a half, 2 weeks. China understands that. And so one of the reasons as to why we think they're going after our infrastructure is for that very reason. They think that we'll be able to get it back up and running, but that 2-day lag or 24-hour lag is going to give them the advantage, and we're a little bit slow on all of this stuff, which I think is right being stated that one of the motivations is this. A second possible goal is to cause such chaos in the United States during their invasion that Americans would not care about what is happening in Taiwan. I think both could be true at the same time. We've brought that up here, and I even asked you guys in the comment section, if China were to invade Taiwan, is it worth a World War III? That's the question, right? I don't know. I mean, these politicians like Lindsey Graham and others wouldn't mind going to war for Taiwan, but they're not the ones that are fighting on the battlefield. I mean, it's people like you and I, our ages, right? Like age 50 or less are the ones that are going to be going. I mean, if you need numbers, you need numbers. And they're not the ones that are going to have to fight it. So I'm torn because you want people to have their independence, but at the same time, do we want to cause a World War III over a place like Taiwan? I mean, I'm undecided, to be quite honest. My opinion could go any direction, but I'm curious on what you think about that whole thing. So this is a ticking time bomb. We'll see. What's interesting here is officials have reportedly exercised caution in determining how to remove the malware, and the reason is really, really interesting. They say because any action from the U.S. could tip off China as to what the U.S. is able to detect and not able to detect. Doing so, the report said, could lead Chinese hackers to alter their cyber attacks, targeting U.S. systems in different ways and more sophisticated software that could be harder to find. So they're kind of in a catch-22 here. We'll see what comes of it. This has been an ongoing story, an ongoing issue. We'll continue to recover it, report on it as time goes on. Well, moving into more of a United States news rather than international, Chicago residents berate officials over crime from illegal aliens at shelters. Well, they disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us, is what they're saying. Now, I know I say this time and time again, but we got a lot of new viewers that will jump into the live stream every now and then. If you recall, Doug Ducey of Arizona, Greg Abbott of Texas, and Ron DeSantis of Florida are having a massive invasion into their states of illegal aliens because Joe Biden doesn't want to drop at the border. So what they did was they devised a plan to offer these illegal aliens a bus ride, a ticket in a nutshell, to any sanctuary city of their choosing. Chicago and New York City and Los Angeles are the main ones in which we're boasting on social media for years that they were right to shelter state, that they were right to sanctuary city, and that they can come there. So, actually they bust them there, and now they can't handle it, and now the citizens of those areas are just losing it over their politicians and others. So, residents of Chicago neighborhood angrily denounced their local officials over the crime overflowing from illegal aliens at a shelter, and some of their threatening vigilante violence is nothing if nothing is done soon. So basically they're saying, look, we're gonna start rioting if you don't figure this whole thing out. More than 50 residents of the Woodlawn neighborhood attended the community meetings at this Church of God to express their outrage over prostitution, drug dealing, and violence from a migrant shelter set up at a former high school building. Well, I would ask you all to go out there at night, in the middle of the night, and see what's going on. Well, my question is, and we said this last week as well in an episode, I would ask those people that are showing up, who did you vote for? That is always my question is who did you vote for? I'm not going to attack you as an individual, being Democrat or Republican or whatever. Who did you vote for? Because if you voted for a Democrat, quite honestly, you know what you're going to get. Democrats have been clear about this. They want open border. They've been clear about this, that they want to allow illegal aliens into the country. Look what they're doing. Their actions speak louder than their words right now. So if you voted for it, why are you complaining about it? I mean, it wasn't like they lied to you, right? It's kind of like the one thing that bugged me about Trump was that he was going to figure out the spending, that he wasn't going to spend a lot. And being a businessman, I figured that he would kind of figure out that whole thing. I think he tried our budget. Remember, we were dealing with the Democrats at the time in the state, in the Senate, as well as the House. So he had an uphill battle with that. But I didn't like how much spending he did. And that kind of conflicts me with voting for him again, because I'm a registered Republican, but I'm a fiscal conservative at heart. So my conservatism is before republicanism. And that's one of the main reasons I had a problem with Trump, was because of that. But I think the overarching policies and decision making that Trump did outweigh that. But if Trump can tighten that up, I mean, he's a shoo-in for me. But that's one of the reasons why I have that kind of in the back of my head of like, man, he spent so much money that it really, really bugs me. And I didn't expect him to do that again as a businessman, but that's for another video. But that's if somebody lied to me and kept causing a problem, I wouldn't continue to vote for them. You know what I mean? Especially at a local and state level, where you see these people all the time because there's no term limits like the president. And the state and local level have more impact on you than the actual president does. So I think there's more of a conversation to be had in terms of voting on a local and state level than there is on a federal level in terms of the policies and the decision making that are taking place. Because if you continue to vote Democrat and you're going to complain about the problem that's taking place when you knew the problem would take place because you voted Democrat and the policies have been going on, I don't know. It's a little bit silly and a little bit of insanity, but let's go ahead and roll this clip here.
Frustration, anger, and confrontations all on display as neighbors in Woodlawn gather to talk about what they call big problems at a nearby migrant shelter. New at 10, CBS 2 political investigator Dana Kozlov takes us through what happened.
Let them talk so they have a voice.
A call for order during a heated meeting at Woodlawn's Apostolic Church of God.
Who's helping me?
The focus, this migrant shelter in the old Wadsworth Elementary School.
I would ask you all to go out there at night, in the middle of the night, and see what goes on.
What's going on, according to community members, is loitering, late-night partying, littering, prostitution, and at least one fight between migrants and residents.
It got a little heated. Objects got thrown.
But many of these residents say they no longer have any tolerance for the disruptive behavior by those seeking asylum here. It's making them feel unsafe.
They disrespect us, they rob us, they harass us.
And their patience is wearing thin.
Let me say this. They got one more time to deal with it, because otherwise, next time they deal with it, they're going to deal with it from the streets. We're going to take over it. Nobody's going to be able to stop us from what we're going to do to them.
Much of the residents' anger was directed at city officials in attendance, including 20th Ward Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, Chicago Deputy Police Chief Stephen Chung, and Family and Support Services Commissioner Brandy Kanazi. At one point, police had to intervene, breaking up an argument during public comments.
And that absolutely is a problem.
And Alderwoman Taylor says she's now seen some of them firsthand.
The people who are keeping up the trouble are the people who are kicked out of the damn shelter.
All of the city officials here at this meeting promise that they are working for solutions to make the area around the shelter better for the neighborhood and consequences for those asylum seekers who are found to be breaking the rules or the law. But residents say they want to see something happen and something change immediately.
Easy solution, deport them. I know that's not what people want to hear, but look, if you're already committing crime while you're seeking asylum, what's stopping you from not committing crime when you actually obtain status or citizenship? So, yeah, deport them. Send a message. Yeah, see you later. You don't want to follow the rules. You don't want to assimilate to our country. You don't want to do the right thing. You want to sit there and attack actual American citizens. See you later. But remember, who'd you vote for? I love the fact that they're showing up and doing the right thing, right? Going to the representative, which is what we should do. Send emails, communicate with them, and say, look, this is an ongoing issue. Excuse me. To say that, oh, we're trying to find solutions. I don't understand why it's so hard to find solutions. If they're breaking the law, like any of you and I would do, you'd go to jail. Or if you're not part of this country, then you would get deported because you committed a crime. But it's sad to say, but that's what you're getting in Democrat-ran areas. I wish they would change it. I live in the state of California. I live predominantly in a I live in a Democrat-ran area on almost every single level. Every single federal building is ran by Democrats and the left, whether you look at the education system, the DMV, I mean, heck, you name it. It's crumbling, and they don't want to do anything. But at least at a local level where I live, I could vote for Republicans, and Republicans tend to get in on where I'm at a local level. And at a state level, I could sit there and try to vote and push for different policies with my right to vote. What I'm saying here is Democrats aren't going to change their tune. They've been singing this song for quite some time. The song ain't going to change. You're going to get what you want, and you should take a gamble and just vote Republican. See if something changes. How many times are you voting at the ticket for that letter D? And if nothing changes, you might as well just take a gamble for a few years and vote Republican. I'll be right there along with you. I'll be sitting in the seat next to you. If they're pulling the same shenanigans, I'll be right there with you, fighting for what is right. And what's taking place there in Chicago just ain't right. Illegal immigrants, to be honest, is probably the least of their issues right now with what's going on in Chicago. Well, moving into a little bit of financial news and corporate news, Ford, this is so crazy. It's like hard to say. Ford is set to lose $4.5 billion on electric vehicles this year despite increased revenue. Ford recently dropped the price of its electric F-150 Lightning pickup truck, which I'm a Ford fan. I would love an F-150. I'm one of those guys that follows Dave Ramsey, so honestly, I'd probably never buy a truck or even a new car. I always buy used, but I always buy clunkers. I drive beaters, folks. I'm not driving a nice car. Again, I'm one of those guys that pays cash for everything. Got the budget on lockdown. Don't want to drive myself into debt. I love the F1 Lightning. Like, I think it's a sick-looking car. They kept the truck looking like a truck. It looks like American power, baby. I'm all about the America. It looks good, but here's the thing. The technology's just not there yet. Okay, it's not there yet for me to drop a lot of money on it. So Ford announced it is projected to lose, I almost said $4.5 billion from electric vehicles this year, up from the previous projected loss of $3 billion. I mean, they weren't even close. This looks like one of Joe Biden's projections on inflation or something. Just knock it out of the park in a negative way. The company released its second quarter financial results on Thursday. The U.S.-based automaker EV division, called Ford Model E, has lost $1.8 billion so far this year, according to Fortune. The projected $4.5 billion loss is over twice as much as Model E's $2.1 billion loss in 2022. I mean, they're taking a shellacking on this electric vehicle. And look, the government is continuing to push this. If you recall, that's been a Representative Luna's question during these congressional hearings. All these environmentalists and the Department of Energy have gone, look, if we have a hurricane, if we have a natural disaster, like, what do you expect to be done when people are flooding our freeways and are in traffic for hours and hours? You can't just go pull off and fill up at a gas station, or you can't just have gas sitting in the back. Well, I should say, you can't just have a battery just sitting in the back of your car that you could just charge your car up. You could have gas on a combustion engine sitting in the back of your car ready to fill up again while you're waiting on the freeway. But they don't have any answer. I mean, matter of fact, one of the people said, oh, well, you would just have to find somebody with a conventional combustion engine or hitchhike. I mean, that was their response. It's so exhausting that we have these people that are elected or put in place to push something and they don't know anything. I don't know if a long-time Bald Brad Show viewers and listeners have remembered me saying that the vast majority of the Democrat Party have never actually ran a business, nor do they never went to business school. They don't know anything about finances, but these are the people that are running the show. And then once you look at it from that viewpoint, you realize, oh, wow, that's a reason. Well, no wonder we're $30 trillion in debt. No wonder this or that. I mean, guys, AOC makes about $120,000 a year. She still hasn't paid off her student loan. Matter of fact, she went out and bought a Tesla before she paid off her student loans. How many of you are making $120,000 a year? If you're making $120,000 a year and you haven't signed up for our membership, that's a slap in my face. I ain't making $120,000 a year. I'm nowhere near $120,000 a year, folks. But that just says something about our leadership in Congress. It says something about our leadership at all levels of government, that they're incompetent. But remember, Ford and these automakers are pushing for these EVs because the government is pushing them to have these EVs, and also these ESG scores that are coming from these elites are pushing for these. It's just not working, and you're driving these companies into the ground, and these ESG scores are driving these corporations into the ground, not just from the auto industry, but I mean at every facet of industry, from the media to the entertainment. I mean, you name it. Everybody's trying to drive up a better ESG score, and they're crippling themselves. That's why Disney's being crippled. The automakers are being crippled. Microsoft's laying off thousands of workers. Amazon's laying off thousands of workers. McDonald's is laying off thousands of workers, all because they're trying to get a better ESG score. I mean, have you ever seen anything so crippling? That is, if you hear ESG, I mean, you yourself have a score as well. I think it's one of the main reasons as to why these companies are just going downhill. And by the way, ESG is a leftist idea. ESG is promulgated by the left. That's why we wrote an entire book here, How the Left is Destroying America. Folks, ESG, their ideology is not destroying America, it's destroying everything. It is a virus. It is a crippling, infected virus that's going to destroy whatever it touches. It might take some time. Right now, everything's just feeling kind of sick. But at some point, you're going to go beyond sick where you're just terminal and there ain't nothing you can do about it. You can't turn it around. We're not there at that point. We could still turn it around, but as to how, I don't know. Honestly, I thought about it. I've read Glenn Beck's book, Alex Jones' books. I'm trying to pick up other books on ESG on how you could turn this around. I want to say that Trump's the answer, you guys, but Trump is not the answer. The president only has so much power. I mean, you need it at all facets of government. I mean, you need a massive wake-up call on an entire level. And I just don't think we're there. And I don't know if we'll ever turn it around. To be quite honest, I don't know. I'm not trying to scare anybody or be like an alarmist. I think we are so far down that road. We kicked that can for so long. I just don't think you can't turn the ship around. Let me go a little bit further. The best way to look at an indicator of change in the future is by looking at history. Where we're at in terms of our debt, owing $32 trillion, just for an example. There's only ever been one country to ever do that in like modern history, and I think it was Canada. Forgive me, I think it was like the 70s. I'm really trying to pull back my memory. This is just spontaneous talking. I think it was Canada. Other than that, there's really been no westernized country that's been remotely level that we are that turned the ship around. We got to wake up now, and right now we ain't. The company touted that its low EV prices establishes leadership ahead of industry's next generation EVs, and that the Ford Model EV revenue is up almost 40%. Ford is expected to produce 600,000 EVs per year by 2024. Quote, the near-term pace of EV adoption will be a little slower than expected, which is going to benefit early movers like Ford. This comes from the CEO, Farley. EV customers are brand loyal, and we're winning lots of them with our high volume first generation products. We're making smart investments in capabilities and capacity around the world. And while others are trying to catch up, we have clean sheet next generation products and advanced development that will blow people away. I don't disagree with them. I think he's doing a lot of damage control here and trying to get prospective buyers for the future like myself to really buy into their vision of where they're going to be. I plan on hopefully getting an electric vehicle in the future. I just personally, for me, don't feel like the technology's there yet to where I feel comfortable. It's a lot easier for me to utilize gas. It's cheaper, and I could just go plug it in. I don't have to buy a $60,000 electric vehicle. I could buy like a $4,000 used car and get from point A to point B. I ain't looking to impress anybody. Folks, you see me wear the same stuff on the show every day. Okay. There's a reason why we don't have massive upgrades here. We do it out of a closet. Gets the job done. We're always trying to make improvements here. It's not that we're not, but to sit there and buy a $60,000 vehicle when I get a clunker that's going to last me like a decade, I ain't looking to impress nobody. I'm going to be fine. If I can get a cheap electric vehicle, then I'll get one. But like I said, the technology's not there yet. I'm curious, how many of you have an electric vehicle? And if you don't have one, are you in the same boat as me as like, hey, I wouldn't mind getting one at some point in the future. But if you want to get one, when do you plan on doing it? But that's where Ford's at now. Others are with Ford as well. That's not the first company we reported on that's being shellacked right now with their electric vehicles, but it's happened to everybody in the auto industry. Also, let me know about the ESG scores, folks. I really highly recommend that you read up on that because it is terrifying stuff taking place with Vanguard, BlackRock, and others trying to promulgate. Like I said, folks, we're having a tough morning here on this Monday. They're trying to promulgate this whole idea, and I really do. I think it's a virus. I think it's crippling. I think it's a very, very bad thing for the world, the globe, and our country. All right, well, to kick it off with a little bit of UAP news, we did cover this on Supernatural Saturdays. I think it was like an awakening for myself regarding these whistleblowers on these UFOs, UAPs, and aliens. If you recall, if you haven't seen Saturday's episode for Supernatural Saturdays, I highly recommend you go check it out. We covered the hearing in a nutshell, kind of, with Ryan Graves, David Grush, and Commander Fravor, all talking about their experiences with UFOs and aliens, stuff like that. Well, after that hearing, I guess there's more witnesses that are coming forward about this whole thing, which we speculated would happen, that this is kind of a conversation starter with air quotes in a nutshell. The reason why I put in air quotes is it's not so much a conversation starter because the conversation's been taking place, but I think with people out there in the ether in the world seeing these men that were part of the military coming forward with their stories, if it is real, I think it creates a place to where more whistleblowers will come out, especially with the protections they're having. in conjunction with the fact that Democrats and Republicans are on the same pages of this. You guys know I'm not a fan of Chuck Schumer or AOC, but when it comes to this, I'm actually on their side as well, which is so funny because I never thought I'd actually say something like that, where I'm on the same side of an agenda with Chuck Schumer and AOC, but on this one I actually am, which is almost frightening for me to say. But I love the fact that they're protecting whistleblowers to come out with this type of information that's been held back from Congress for quite some time. I think the deep state is real. I used to think it was a conspiracy theory until one of the guys I trusted, which was a congressman by the name of Jason Chaffetz of Utah, came out and wrote a book called A Deep State that completely awakened my eyes. There was two guys in Congress that I really, really respected, that I beloved a lot. Jason Chaffetz of Utah and Trey Gowdy of South Carolina. You guys, when they left Congress, normally I don't care about politicians. Like, I'm like, okay, you left Congress, whatever. They were the two guys that actually I felt like I got a kick in the gut, that I didn't know if Congress could make it. And I'm still kind of along those lines. And what I mean by that is the reason why they left, and you had to really not just read between the lines, but you had to do some deep diving as to why they left, was because basically they saw no hope for Congress, and Congress didn't want to change and didn't want to do anything for the greater good in terms of this country. And they saw how dark it was. I'm giving it a synopsis of what took place. And when I saw that on two guys that I really trusted, and you never really trust a politician, that was really eye-opening to me. So I highly recommend his book, The Deep State by Jason Chaffetz. So on Wednesday, the House Subcommittee on National Security, the Border, and Foreign Affairs held an explosive hearing on UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Remember, it's previously UFOs, unidentified, flying objects, during which whistleblower David Grush made incredible claims, and former Navy pilots David Fravor and Ryan Graves testified about their interactions with anomalous craft. Now, that's a little bit misleading there, because I found out with a lot of you on Saturday during our live feed, Ryan Graves never actually saw a UAP. This was just all third party hearing it from other people. Same with David Grush. He's never actually seen a UAP. The only person that actually came out that encountered one of these was Commander Fravor. Again, that was in conjunction with the Nimitz off the coast of San Diego. On Friday, Representative Tim Burchett, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, one of the leaders of the hearing, spoke about why the representatives were reportedly denied access to a skiff. And this was kind of a main thing of a lot of people are pissed because there's been this uphill battle with Congress, within Congress, to get these skiffs, get this information out. And they've been fighting people in our own government to kind of look under the hood on this whole thing. And I'm so confused as to why. I think Marco Rubio said this perfectly. There's only two ways of looking at this. We either have actual stories and witnesses that are legitimate of flying craft that are engaging our military, not just overseas in our military craft, but also our military installations, at times even launching nuclear weapons without actually launching them, like putting them through the systems and basically engaging it. Or we have serious intelligence officers at our top level that are cuckoo and that have access to our intelligence at the top level. Either way, you got to come to the bottom lines of it, and I 100% agree. So the fact that Congress is acting this way, the Pentagon, the Department of Justice, and others, it's baffling to me. I just don't understand it. Even if you thought it was a bunch of hocus pocus, right? Even if you didn't believe in UFOs and stuff, fully get it. Why not look under the hood and just make sure? Because if what Ryan Graves is saying is that we're encountering these objects, whether they're UFOs or not, I mean, they could be something from China, Russia, whoever, and that they're engaging our fighter pilots, and our fighter pilots can't even compete anywhere near what they're doing. I mean, that's scary, you guys. If it's human craft and we're engaging this stuff and we can't compete against it, well, then if it's human craft, it's from some other country. It ain't ours. So they're saying that basically they were denied access to a skiff, and this is a secure compartmented information facility. Like I said, folks, it's Monday. God, give me a break, baby. It's hot in here. It's musty. My throat is all dry. But it's a skiff. And answered questions regarding new witnesses coming forward in the aftermath of the hearing and what the Congress members are formally asking House leadership to provide. So, on numerous occasions during the hearing, Grush stated that he couldn't answer certain questions in an open forum, but could provide details to cleared members of Congress inside a skiff. However, Burchett and others have claimed that they were denied access to a skiff, which is frustrating because during the hearing, Grush made claims that he knew where these craft were, what facilities they were in, specific names that were involved in all this stuff. And a congresswoman asked, hey, can you give me all that information? He specifically said yes. And she says, when? He goes, right after this hearing, we could do it. So I was thinking, oh, great. They got access to a skiff. Perfect. They have all this information. Turns out they don't. As to, the reported denial, Burchett explained that Representative Anna Paulina Luna, which we love here on the Bold Brad Show, she's a Republican from Florida, was the point person of attending skiff access, and that during the process, they were informed that there was a problem with Grush's clearance, something Burchett categorized as totally ridiculous. The reason why is this dude had the highest level of clearance you could pretty much get in our government. But we're going to appeal Speaker McCarthy and try to get it turned around, Burchett stated. The congressman from Tennessee also noted that since the hearing on Wednesday, more witnesses have come forward. This is a good thing. More witnesses coming out. Doesn't mean that doesn't mean that they don't have their screws loose. And I think that you need to hear them out, but it's a good thing that people were inspired by this and more people are coming out with their stories. Burchett noted that while it would be McCarthy who ultimately chooses who sits on a committee for this whole thing, he would prefer that it be bipartisan. Well, we need to strike while the iron is hot, Burchett said on a timeline for the next steps, but this is definitely a moving target. I agree. It's frustrating as heck that they don't have a skiff. What would your guys' reasoning be as to why you wouldn't supply them with that? Why would you create an obstruction with it? It's just so odd. It's really odd to me. It seems like there's obstruction after obstruction. I don't know even if I believe those guys, and it's something we talked about on Saturday's episode, that it was a little funky, a little fishy with some of the language and wording. Again, I highly recommend it. Even if you're not part of Supernatural Saturdays, you're not into the ghost stuff. We covered the committee hearing here, and I think you really enjoy it because we looked at skeptics about the whole thing that didn't believe these guys, and it was a lot of fun. It was eye-opening, I think, for all of us, and we're going to continue to explore that on Supernatural Saturdays. But that's the news, folks. I hope you enjoy kind of the new tone of the show where it's not me yelling. It's more of a conversation, commentary, me giving you a real-time reaction and kind of filling in the gaps of maybe some information here and there, rather than me yelling, getting hysterical. Quite frankly, some people did say that they're going to unsubscribe when I gave them, hey, the tone of the show is going to change. You guys remember, I have a job. I have a career. I think some people might think I make a lot of money on YouTube because we have almost 36,000 subscribers, which is a lot, but at the same time, it's nothing. I can't emphasize this enough, you guys. We do not make a lot of money here on the Bald Brad Show. We're basically breaking even. Let me put it that way for the money that I put in compared to what we get out of it. So please don't think this is something where it's if I got fired tomorrow, this could be my career. No way. I can't afford to lose my job over my tone and me pissing people off. So it has to kind of change. And the show, again, was never about me screaming and targeting Democrats completely. It goes both ways. We're just in a Democrat administration. I'm still going to pry and poke on Republicans. I think that's only fair here. If that's not your jive, I totally get it. I totally understand. I still love you. I'm not going to hate you. But if that's something where you think you want to unsubscribe because of, my tone has calmed down a little bit to where I'm more just having a conversation with you, I try to put it in a nice way. Nobody's forcing you to stay. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you leave. I love you. I can still be friends with you. I can still talk with you in the comment section or wherever you may move to. But, there's a lot of people I think maybe would be better for you, I guess, if you don't want me to yell and scream. I think you get it. A lot of you say you don't need to say this, Brad. A lot of you write in the chat, don't worry about it. We love you or whatever. I don't know. I love you guys. I really do love hanging out with you. That's why I do it. We got a freaking awesome community. Some of you I see in the live chat and you haven't joined. I don't know why. Maybe it's the Bidenomics, right? Maybe it's the Biden economy. Things are a little bit tough. Trust me, I get it. But you hitting that like and subscribe button, leave us a comment down below. Does more than enough. And just a disclaimer, folks. YouTube tracks how long we watch, so I can actually see when people pause it and stuff like that. If you're never into an episode, you're like, I don't want to catch this one today. All I ask is just, hey, throw it on the TV, hit mute, hit that like button, and just walk away and just let it run. Because it actually helps our analytics. And so I'll actually do that at home. There's YouTubers that I actually love and that I want to support, even if I know what they're going to say and everything like that. I'll actually just mute it. I'll hit that like button. I'll just let it run because it helps their analytics. And so if that's something that you can maybe support us with, if you're not in an episode that morning or, hey, I don't have time or I don't want to watch this, put on your phone and just play it, hit that like button, just flip it upside down and just let it go. YouTube can't tell if you're looking at it or not. So that supports the show as well. It's kind of a way to go around it. But anywho, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for supporting this country. Heck, become a member today. Hit that like, subscribe button. Head to ballbrad.com. Get yourself a mug. We do drink out of it every single morning. It'd be nice if you joined us. Have a nice cup of coffee. With that being said, I'll see you tomorrow here on the